Public service announcement before we get going here, ladies and gentlemen of the tribe. Hope you're doing well, by the way. Today is day 2 of Rise of the Empire TB as of the timing of the recording of this video. So, if you are on Braca and you need help with the Zepho Unlock Special Mission using Cal and Sia, do check out my video guide over here. We go over all the modding and the strategy to make sure that you definitely complete that mission if you have your Jedi Knight Cal. Make sure you go ahead and watch that, come back and tell me how good it was. Love yous. Right then, let's break this down. So something strange occurred to me when I was looking into the Endor speeder bike raid recently, and that comes down to a small problem that I identified when it comes to the reward structure. Now, I was in a guild that was hitting that 265 million damage or points in the Crate Dragon raid, which offered me a healthy chunk of that Mark III currency I was quite proud of. However, in the current setup, my guild is not quite hitting that 424 million box. And you're probably thinking, Scribble, that's absolutely fine. You're still hitting the 208 box, which is just as good as the 265, and you'd be wrong, actually. See, the problem is, in the 202 million box, or 208 million box, we're only getting 4,000 of that Mark III, whereas in the 265 million box, my guild was getting something like 2,350 Mark III, and we were getting it twice a week, which means we were actually getting, near enough to 4,700. So you can see how this isn't quite hitting it anymore. My guild is currently basically operating at a net loss of about 700 Mark III every week. And I know that doesn't sound like much, but over the course of a month and over the course of a year, that really does build up. So I don't want to be one of those guilds that just sort of lays back on their laurels and does not hit that 424 million box. Because as soon as we hit this one, we are definitely getting up there. We're up about a net of about 5, 6, maybe even 700 in excess of what we were earning at the 265 million box. So it got me thinking, what teams can we actually use and build that will help us hit that 424 million box? Well, if you think about it, 50 players in a guild hitting the 424 million box means you need to get about 8.5 million points per player. And you can see myself over here, little scribbly bibbly boo, has currently got 11.4 nearly million points, which means I'm in excess of about 3 million. So let's talk about the best teams for you to invest in, not just from a raid perspective, but those that are best for your roster development overall, and I think that is pivotal. Oh, look at me, I'm backwards now, but it looks like I'm looking directly at my roster over here. So, obviously, the first and foremost most important character that you could possibly invest in for this raid is, of course, Galactic Legend Leia Organa, and that should go without saying. If you haven't watched my video yesterday, I've got a full video guide, modding, strategy, everything, the works, that goes over how to get 2.7 million damage, which is the maximum amount of points you can get in any run, and she can do it solo. Not only is she great within the raid, which stands to reason, Jabba the Hutt was the featured raid character for Crate Dragon. She is the featured character for this particular raid. You would expect her to be good. But the fact that she can solo it for 2.7 million just makes her highly valuable. Not only that, all of her requirements, or not all of her requirements, a lot of her requirements are actually used within the raid as well, so it adds additional benefit there to your roster. And of course, she's a flippin' galactic legend, guys, so she's great in GAC, she's great in Territory War, she's great in every aspect of the game, including Rise of the Empire TB, where she practically just autos things, okay? So Leia should be your first investment before you even think about any relic levels for anybody else. If you're working towards Leia, just get Leia first. It will pay off, okay? Now, as we discussed in my video yesterday, there is currently a cheese with C-3PO, whereby if he is the last surviving character on your team, he will escape. And if he does escape and is not killed, then you can reuse him in the raid. This is currently under investigation by CG, and it is most likely that they're going to fix it, I would imagine, simply because if you can use him 7 or 8 times, you gain masses of benefits out of him, and he's already a Relic 7 requirement, I think, for Jabba the Hutt, I want to say. Could be Jabba the Hutt. So the fact that you can use him and he's a rebel and you can use him alongside all the Imperial troopers, which have the best synergy for this raid. 1 Imperial trooper and up to 2 rebels features massive damage bonuses because you can stack evasion on your rebels, or at least most of them, and then Imperial troopers, when they basic, have a bonus ability that lets them convert the entire team's evasion into bonus damage. It means you can get massively high score points here. So, first team, I would say, Admiral Piet, and then you can use C-3PO. If you don't have him at Relic 8, that's fine. You can use Han Solo as well. This team alone is very quick to do, very easy to do. The strategy is bare minimum. You don't even need to remod, and you can get between 2.1 and 2.4 million points of damage. You can see an example of it here. Piet and C-3PO. Yes, this Piet is R9, but R8 still works just as well and is a requirement for the Executor capital ship. So the level of investment that you have to put in is not much more than what you would normally. You could do the same sort of score with Han Solo instead of C-3PO if you do not want to take your C-3PO to Relic 8, and I would personally recommend you hold off on relicating C-3PO just now. Just wait and see what CG is going to do about this fix, but we are going to address how to get points with this particular team. Next up, I would say Iden Versio. Why am I recommending Iden Versio? One, she has got a full squad of units that she can take in for GAC, for Territory Wars, all that business, and it is actually very good. Her Omicron in GAC is particularly powerful, especially with the fact that we now have Scout Trooper in the game. Scout Trooper just adds a whole new dimension to Iden Versio and really helps protect it from being Wampa soloed in GAC. Not only that, Iden has got a fantastic ship in the TIE Defender, which can beat the current meta ship Leviathan with relatively high success ratios. So for me personally, I have her at Relic 5 right now. I'm going to take her to at least Relic 7 and most likely Relic 8 to get the maximum amount of benefits from her. Now, if you're looking to pair her with another character, like I said, pair her with a rebel that has some form of evasion stacking. Now, you can do stuff like evasive maneuvers. You can do stuff like open fire. There's the hasty repairs, which Akbar has got. There's forest friends, which I think Hera has got. So there's a lot of options available to you to pair with them. But for now, see if you can abuse the C-3PO mechanic where he will escape and be reused. You can get really solid scores with just Iden and C-3PO. No need for a third character here. Here is an example of just Iden and C-3PO getting 2.4 million points of damage, just those two. Granted, this is Relic 8, but it is applicable at every tier of the event. You don't have to go full send. You can just take it to the various, milestones. Relic 3, Relic 5, Relic 7. If you want more, go to Relic 8. I don't think she's a terrible investment at Relic 8. Like I said, she has got very good viability in PvP, so it's not entirely wasted, and it does translate into better performance for your TIE Defender ship as well. Next up, General Veers. Now, why am I suggesting General Veers? The same thing as always, guys. In this raid, Imperial Troopers gain stacking benefits for the amount of evasion on the team. But General Veers, as an Imperial Trooper leader, also gains TM when he kills an enemy, which helps him perform even better in the raids. And he is also gaining benefits from all the evasion on your rebel allies. It's super, super useful. Imperial Troopers are great as a faction. In PvP, in PvE, take him into Rise of the Empire TB, phenomenal. Take him into GAC, they can punch up and kill things with Dark Trooper and using Piet and all that sort of business. It's a solid, solid investment. Again, I'm not saying take him to Relic 8, but if you do, there is a team that scores maximum points of damage in the raid. Yes, it requires Scout Trooper with his Omicron at Relic 8 and Han Solo, who is already a requirement at Relic 8, but this is still an idea of where you can go with these teams. I'm not advocating for this level of investment, but if you are looking for good returns in the raid, this is one of the teams that you can get. So if you're already looking at 2.7 million damage with Leia, you only need to get about another 6.5 million, or not even that actually, about another 6 million in order to hit your threshold for 8.5 million to get that 424 million box. So if you can get it with just 3 teams, that means minimal investment for maximum rewards. And that's how I like to play the game. But of course, that's not where it ends. Moff Gideon is another Imperial Trooper leader. He has various benefits in his leadership that will boost his stats, which does translate over into the game. He is also very fast, and again, gains the benefit of evasion characters in your squad will boost his bonus offense. I think Moff Gideon is a fantastic character. Yes, mine is only currently Relic 1, but that's going to change in the near future. I'll take him to Relic 5, and then I'll take him to Relic 7. Not sure if I'll take him to Relic 8, but I do like the idea of having more of my Imperial Trooper faction reliced up in general. Now, if you don't want to do that Iden Versio team, you can actually get really solid scores with Scout Trooper and C-3PO. I've seen people reporting damage of up to 2.2 million with these two at Relic 8. Now, of course, at the tier below, at tier 5, you won't be getting that high of a damage, but you could probably expect somewhere around 1.3 to 1.6 million points of damage, and that is still very respectable. Scout Trooper is already a requirement for Galactic Legend Leia Organa, so if you've got her, this is just another free win. And finally down here, I'm just looking at some of the low-hanging fruit. Hera Syndulla is a rebel leader with the best sort of support abilities. She has got 2 special abilities that will enhance her evasion. She's got evasive maneuvers and I think it's Forest Friends, both of which increase evasion, which is fantastic to have. You can throw in an Imperial Trooper, you can throw in Stark, there's Range Trooper, there's Storm Trooper, there's Death Trooper. I think Shaw as well is also available. So if you have another Imperial Trooper that isn't a leader, throw her under Hera. Hera has a leadership that benefits Phoenix. So you could throw in C-3PO here, or if you're not abusing C-3PO's mechanics, you could even throw in Captain Rex, who is another requirement for Galactic Legend Leia, and they will pair very well. Now, Hera is Relic 5. She is a requirement for the profundity, so it's not a wasted investment. If you want to take her further, there is a mission in Rise of the Empire which requires a full squad of Relic 8 Phoenix. I'm not saying you'll be crazy like me and have a heavy investment inside your Phoenix, but if you already have invested significantly there, they are a pretty good PvP team, maybe it's not such a bad idea to go up to Relic 8 with your Hera. She has the perfect moveset. Paired with Captain Rex, that's 2 rebels that have got synergy, bonus TM, stacking evasion for 1 other of your Imperial Troopers to gain ridiculous amounts of bonus damage. And I think that's going to about do it, guys. Those are the characters that I'm going to focus on when it comes to this raid. I don't want to focus on characters that I don't believe give me any benefit outside of the raid. So characters like Ewoks, I know they have use, but I don't see them as useful as factions such as Rebels and factions such as Imperial Troopers, which really do transform your performance in other areas of the game. That's how I'm going to do it, and I've already hit 11.3 million. I'm going to see if I can hit up to 13.5 million with relatively small levels of investment. Let me know in the comments section down below, guys, what teams are you going to be using, and, well, I guess may the Force be with you.